Hello fellow cinephiles, Film Guru here. Today I'm reviewing The Public. This was written and directed by Emilio Estevez and stars Emilio Estevez, Taylor Schilling, Alec Baldwin, Gina Malone, Michael Kenneth Williams, Christian Slater and Alec Baldwin. And it really looks at how an act of civil disobedience turns into a standoff with police when homeless people in Connecticut take over the public library to seek shelter from the bitter cold. This is a film that came out last year, but we only just got it recently. And it was a pleasant surprise for me. I didn't expect this film to be as good as it was. It sort of took me by surprise how well made it was and had such a great story. Emilio Estevez is an actor, director, writer, but with him as a director, he's made a handful of films, but the last couple have been really powerful and have had something to say and had been really great stories. And this was another great film that Emilio Estevez directed. What I like about him as a filmmaker is he is not flashy, he doesn't have flashy camera moves or have a real unique flair. But what he does that's better than anybody is he's a great storyteller. He knows how to write really great characters and tell really great stories. And it's so refreshing for a film like this, a simple but brilliant little film, little drama that doesn't need explosions or car chases or anything really big like all the superhero movies to tell its story. It's a small, intimate film that takes place ultimately in one location, the public library in Cincinnati. It's just a great example of how you can have a simple story but make it an effective and interesting and engaging film. I think all the acting's solid in here. Emilio Estevez is solid playing, he plays Stuart Goodson, the library patron who works at the library. You have Jeffrey Wright's in it as well, who plays his boss. He has a really great moment, especially in the third act of the film where he actually joins the act of civil disobedience. I think Alec Baldwin's solid. He plays a cop trying to ultimately get the people out of the library and stop anything bad from happening. He's like the negotiator. Taylor Schilling plays sort of a love interest, but kind of a really interesting character who lives within Stuart Goodson's apartment. And there's an interesting bond and relationship that's forming with them at the beginning of the film. Gina Malone's really good, playing an employee of the library who's a really interesting and fascinating character and has a good relationship with Stuart in many ways. Rella Union's in it, and she plays sort of a stuck-up sort of reporter, isn't really interested in the truth, just whatever sensational can make her look really good. And she's a self-absorbed character. Christian Slater plays a really sort of arrogant and self-absorbed lawyer who's running for mayor, and it's kind of interesting to see his interaction and his involvement in this whole thing as well. Michael Kenneth Williams, who plays Jackson, he's an actor I've seen in a variety of things. He really came to fame and be well known for the TV show The Wire, which I haven't seen, but the other films that I've seen him in, he's quite good. And he's really great in here. He plays one of the homeless people who's just trying to find shelter, who's just trying to be heard, who's just trying to show people what it's like, trying to wade through the bitter cold and not die in his sleep like a lot of the other homeless people are doing. And that's what this film really looks at, how these people take a stand and aren't going to back down until they're able to get what they want. It looks at how the library is a place where they go during the cold in the day. It gives them something to do. They go into the bathrooms and they have a bit of a wash, they clean their teeth, they go to the toilet, do whatever what they usually do, and then they venture out into the library and look at books and look at things that help, I guess, escape the life that they sort of struggle within. And it gives them something to do every day and a place to go. And they ultimately have to leave at the end of the day at night time, and their fear of freezing to death because it's so cold, it's bitter cold, and people don't understand how cold it is for them. So that's why they band together and create this civil disobedience, because they want to be heard, they want to be able to find shelter during this cold time. They're discarded quite a bit and they're not treated very well. And it's kind of interesting to see how these patrons sort of go about what they're trying to accomplish. And ultimately, Stuart Goodson has a bit of a past that we don't know about, we learn throughout the film. And he's sort of a big instigator in what happens. But what turns out to be just a civil disobedience turns into this standoff. They make out he's holding them as hostages. and the media sort of play their part in it. And I think that's sort of interesting what this film does. It looks at how the media can manipulate stories and ideas and things happening in the world and shape them to what they want them to be. And they can make anyone look like anything. Stuart Goodson's not a bad guy. He's just sort of trying to help these people get what's right and trying to help them be heard and to give them a voice in a sort of way. And it's the homelessness aspect to it. This group of homeless people and patrons of the library are like a family. They all band together, they help each other out. And it's sort of like a strong family bond that they have with each other. And you can see why they all band together and fight for what's right. A lot of the characters in this film, within the patrons of the library and the homeless people in the film, are all veterans. You know, they're playing characters that are all sort of veterans who've come home and can't seem to find their place back in the world, or they lose their job and they find themselves on the street. And that's what this film really does. There's some really great moments in this movie, especially when Michael Kenneth Williams' character Jackson is asked by Stuart Goodson, does he ever want to get off the streets? And he talks about, no, he doesn't. That he finds a freedom in it, and also the fact that he's got nothing that anyone can take from him. And I really like that, and it's a really powerful moment within the film. There's a variety of those throughout the film that really stand out and really encapsulate what the story is and who these people are, and I really loved it. This film is just fantastic. I loved every moment of it. It's a film I went in not knowing what it would be like and just being blown away by it. Blown away by its simplicity, by its powerful story, and the powerful storytelling that Emilio Estevez is able to bring to this film. The use of music's really good, a bit of a rap song at the start, and we see shots of the city, Cincinnati, what it looks like and how cold it is and it's covered in snow. And we learn about people, you know, homeless people dying on the streets due to exposure. And there's some really colourful and interesting characters within the film. There's a real believability about this film. It feels real and authentic. It feels like these people are real people. They're not characters or actors within a film. They feel like they're actually real and inhabit this world. And I think that's a great example of bringing together a variety of actors who've done bits and pieces through their career and who've obviously worked with or been involved with Emilio Estevez in some form, are able to play real characters. And there's a believability to it. I can't say enough good things about this film. I thought it was brilliant. It's one of the best films this year, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it and my experience with it. And I liked the ideas of what it was looking at, of the way people are treated and people's rights, and people wanting to be heard and not being heard, and being discriminated against or treated badly just because of their circumstances or where they find themselves in life. And it just sometimes takes one person to take a stand. And that's what it is. Sometimes there's someone who just needs to take a stand, no matter the consequences, no matter what's happened, because it's the right thing to do. And that's what this film really looks at and really talks about. You need to stand up for what's right, no matter the consequences or what's going to happen. Because sometimes people just need someone to support them or to hear them. They ultimately want someone to hear them and listen to what they've got to say and not disregard them just because of the way they look or their station in life. And I think this really encapsulates it. I think this is a fantastic movie. Final verdict. I highly recommend this. If there's one film you see this year, this is a film to watch. If you like something that's simply made, a powerful story, is a great little drama, and is telling a really wonderful and poignant story about people, about the human condition, this is definitely the film for you. And for those who are sick of explosions and superhero movies, you need to watch this because it'll bring faith back into the idea of cinema and filmmaking and what's important and the type of stories that people want to talk about and people want to hear. And this is a great example of that. I'm going to give The Public 4.5 out of 5. I thought this was a fantastic movie. It's a brilliant film, really well done. It made me feel emotional in parts, and it made me feel wanting to stand up and stand with these particular people in this film. And I just think it's just a film that really needs to be seen on a wider market. And if you do see it, please recommend it to people, because I think it is a film that everybody really needs to see because it's very powerful in what it's saying. Anyway, that's all from me today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit subscribe in the bottom. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. And until next time, enjoy the movies.